welcome to my podcast. Today we're going to be talking about an article based on the book Driven Towards Madness, The Fugitive Slave Margaret Garner, and Tragedy on the Ohio by Cy Peterson for me. And this article is basically about Margaret Garner and the psychological effects of slavery and how they could have affected her mental state. At the time, no one really knew about her mental state completely, but there were some signs that there was sexual violence that had occurred between her and her slave owner, and they weren't sure how that could have affected the murdering of her children because there is trauma that is associated with sexual violence. Now, at the beginning of my research, I didn't really know much about, I didn't really look into the whole sexual violence and how it could have impacted her psychological and mental state. I mostly just researched the court case, and kind of like the law surrounding the court case. But no one really ever talks about her mental stability and how the sexual violence could have really hurt her mental state because it's a major part of that case. Because could she have killed her children because it was just a psychotic break? Or could she have killed her children because she wanted to save them from slavery? We don't really have a direct answer to that question because she did die of typhoid fever in 1859. So we don't have her direct statements on anything that she went through. But there is a special guest I'm going to bring on that would have a different perspective on the story because of the fact that she is a mother rather than me being a kid and not knowing much about being a mother. So I'm going to bring on my mom who's going to give us her perspective on this whole situation.
Hi, y'all. My name's Marlena Hernandez. I am Marissa's mom. Thank you guys for having me today. And I hope I can give you guys a different perspective from my point of view, being a single mom. So, yeah, let's get this party started.
Alrighty. So, what do you think about the whole Margaret Gardner case and what she did with her children?
Well, this is a tough one because as a mom, your duty and what you want to do is protect your children. I mean, you would put your life down. I would die for you. So it's kind of hard to understand why or how a mother would or could do that to her children. But there's a lot of things to consider what she did. I can't really judge her for it because we live in two different eras. I have a lot easier time raising a kid right now, even though it is a hard job, hard to do that. I can just imagine being, I can't imagine how it would be like to be a slave and have somebody tell you what to do. And there's evidence of her being abused sexually, physically, mentally. There's like so many things that contributed to what she did. We will never know why she did what she did. All I can have is some understanding of why she did it. I mean, personally, I wouldn't have done that, could do that, but she had to have had her reasons why she did what she did.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, as a mom, what would you do in that situation? Like if if the tables were turned, how if you put yourself in her situation, what would you do in that?
I'm pretty headstrong. I don't think I would have gone to where she went by killing her kids. Me personally, I mean, it would have been a struggle, having to have your kids. I mean, they probably took her kids away from her had she not done what she did, hurt her kids and killed one of them. Um, I don't think I could do what she did. I don't think I could live with myself and do what she did. But like I said, my mental state of mind is different from what she did. I don't know what, I have been through. I am a survivor of sexual abuse, and I know the things that can do to a person. I went through depression when I was younger. It affects you. So her having all these things on her mind and then not having freedom, and I didn't go through everything that she went through. So I can just put myself in her shoes and hope that she made the decision that she thought was best for her and her children. I mean, there she might have wanted to have the abuse not happen to her children. or she just had a psychotic break where she didn't know what to do, and that's what she did. So I can't really judge her. But no, I wouldn't do what she did.
Okay, now my last question is there anything you would like to add or tell any of my classmates?
Sure. I mean, like I said, this was a different time, so you gotta take that into consideration. It was a horrible thing that she did, but we don't know the circumstances as to what she was thinking mentally and the state that she was in. So, um, can't really judge her for what she did because we don't know what was going on. We can just assume. Another thing that it brings up is an issue that is happening today that has been happening is sexual abuse, physical abuse, trauma. I would just like to say that it does happen, um, and there, if it is happening to you, please seek help. It's not your fault, and there's you can get help for this. And thankfully, we don't live in a time like they did back then. We have more options to get us help. We can put a stop to it. So, yeah, this is a good story, and hopefully, you guys can learn from this. The different situations, things that happened to people, you know. And another thing too, believe she was young. If I'm correct, was she young?
Not that young.
She wasn't that young. Um,
Like in the middle of her life. Like she wasn't old, and she wasn't young.
okay, so she okay. Well, that's another thing too. If you're younger, you're gonna act differently versus me who's older. I'm 40 years old now, so I've gone through a lot of things. But if anybody asks you guys, I'm 21. Okay. But yeah, it's there's gonna be things that come up in life, and these are some issues, unfortunately, that people don't like to talk about, but it does happen. And thank you guys for having me, and that's my opinion.
Well, we're at the end of the podcast. So I'd just like to thank everyone for listening to this. And I hope you all learned a little bit more about Margaret Garner. And, I would suggest you guys look into it yourself because it's a really interesting case. And there's a lot more to it than what we talked about here because we were referring to an article. But there is a lot more to the case rather than sexual abuse and stuff like that. There's the case part of it, there's the law part of it. It's all very interesting, so I would suggest that you guys look into that and find out more information. But that's all the time we have for today, and thank you guys for listening.